The system is rigged. What does anti-establishment even mean? Okay, let's break this down. Anti-establishment. It's like that friend who always says your band sucks, but they're kind of right. It means going against the big dogs, the ones in charge, the whole damn system. Governments, political parties, the media, big corporations, they're all fair game. People who are anti-establishment feel like these institutions don't work for them, that they're rigged in favor of the powerful and the connected. It's about saying screw you to the status quo. Think of it as a giant middle finger to the way things are.
They stole the money and the dream. Key events that sparked a firestorm. These events were not just isolated incidents. They were the culmination of years of systemic issues and growing discontent among the masses. Remember 2008, the financial crisis? It wasn't just a blip on the radar. It was a seismic event that shook the very foundations of the global economy. Yeah, that was a big one. Banks crashed the economy, got bailed out, and nobody went to jail. People were pissed. The anger was palpable. And it wasn't just about the money, it was about the betrayal of trust. Banks crashed the economy, got bailed out, and nobody went to jail. People were pissed. The sense of injustice was overwhelming. How could those responsible for such a massive failure walk away unscathed? Then came the Occupy Wall Street movement. It wasn't just a protest, it was a statement, a declaration that enough was enough. Remember those tents in Zuccotti Park? They became a symbol of resistance, a physical manifestation of the collective frustration. "We are the 99%!" they shouted. It was a rallying cry that resonated with millions around the world. It was about inequality, the 1% versus everyone else. The movement highlighted the vast disparities in wealth and power, and let's not forget the Arab Spring. It was a wave of revolutionary fervor that swept across the Middle East. People in the Middle East rose up against their dictators. They demanded freedom, justice, and a better future. Social media exploded with their anger. Platforms like Twitter and Facebook became tools of revolution, amplifying voices that had long been silenced. It was messy, complicated, but it showed the power of people demanding change. The world watched as ordinary citizens took extraordinary risks. These events, and others like them, created a breeding ground for anti-establishment sentiment. They revealed the cracks in the system and the urgent need for reform. They showed that the system wasn't working for everyone. The discontent was not just a fleeting moment, it was a sign of deeper, systemic issues that needed to be addressed. From Wall Street to Tahrir Square, the message was clear. People were no longer willing to accept the status quo. They wanted change, and they were willing to fight for it. These movements brought together diverse groups, united in their desire for a fairer, more just world. It was a powerful reminder that when people come together, they can achieve remarkable things. The echoes of these movements can still be felt today. They serve as a reminder of the power of collective action and the enduring struggle for justice and equality.
From the streets to the system, movements and leaders who embrace the anger. Throughout history, anger has been a powerful catalyst for change. It has driven people to the streets demanding justice, equality, and a better future. Remember those Occupy Wall Street tents? They were a symbol of a movement that captured the world's attention. They may be gone, but the anger is still here. The frustration with economic inequality and corporate greed hasn't disappeared. It's evolved, and it's found new homes. Across the globe, from Hong Kong to Paris, people are rising up, fueled by a sense of injustice and a desire for change. On the right, you've got guys like Donald Trump. He didn't just recognize the anger, he harnessed it. He tapped into that anger, that feeling that the system is rigged. His message resonated with millions who felt left behind by the political establishment. "Drain the swamp," he yelled, and people cheered. It was a rallying cry against perceived corruption and elitism. Of course, he was the swamp, but that's a story for another time. His tenure highlighted the complexities and contradictions of political leadership. But it's not just the right. Anger transcends political boundaries. On the left, you have figures like Bernie Sanders. He became the voice of a generation disillusioned with the status quo. He called for a political revolution, railing against the billionaire class and their grip on power. His message was clear. The system is broken and it needs to be fixed. These movements and leaders, despite their differences, all share one thing in common. They're tapping into a deep well of anger and frustration with the status quo. This anger is not just a fleeting emotion, it's a powerful force that can drive significant societal change. Throughout history, we've seen how anger can lead to revolutions, reforms, and the reshaping of societies. From the civil rights movement in the United States to the anti-apartheid struggle in South Africa, anger has been a driving force for justice. Today, the landscape of protest and political movements is more complex than ever. Social media amplifies voices, spreads messages, and mobilizes people in ways that were unimaginable just a few decades ago. Movements are more diverse, with a range of issues from climate change to racial justice, all interconnected by a shared sense of urgency and a demand for change. Young activists are at the forefront, using their voices and platforms to challenge the status quo and push for a better future. They are the new faces of this enduring anger, channeling it into action and advocacy. And as we look to the future, one thing is clear: the anger that fuels these movements is not going away. It will continue to shape our politics, our societies, and our world.
Broken promises and empty suits. Why traditional politics feels like a con? Here's the thing. People are tired of politicians who talk a big game but don't deliver. They're tired of broken promises and empty rhetoric. They see politicians bought and paid for by lobbyists. They see a system that rewards the wealthy and connected, while everyone else struggles to make ends meet. It's no wonder people are losing faith in traditional politics. It feels like a rigged game, and they're not invited to play.
The rich get richer, we get screwed economics as fuel to the fire. Let's be honest, the economy is a big part of this. The gap between the rich and poor is wider than ever. Wages are stagnant while the cost of everything from healthcare to education keeps going up. People are working longer hours for less pay, and they're drowning in debt. They see the American dream slipping away and they're pissed. This economic anxiety is a powerful force, and it's driving a lot of the anti-establishment anger we're seeing today.
The world is changing, and they don't get it. Social and tech disruptions. The pace of change is unprecedented, and it's leaving many people feeling overwhelmed and confused. Here's another piece of the puzzle. The world is changing faster than ever, and our institutions are struggling to keep up. Traditional systems that once provided stability are now being challenged by the rapid pace of globalization and technological advancements. Technology is transforming the way we live, work, and communicate. From smart homes to remote work, the digital revolution is reshaping every aspect of our daily lives. The way we interact with each other has fundamentally changed, with instant messaging and video calls becoming the norm. Social media has given a voice to the voiceless, empowering marginalized groups to share their stories and advocate for change. However, it's also created echo chambers and filter bubbles, where people are only exposed to information that reinforces their existing beliefs, leading to increased polarization. Globalization has connected the world, allowing for the free flow of information, goods, and services. But it's also led to job losses in certain sectors and cultural anxieties as people grapple with the blending of different traditions and values. These rapid changes have left many people feeling disoriented and left behind. The speed at which technology and globalization are advancing can be overwhelming, making it difficult for individuals to adapt and find their place in this new world. They see the old rules no longer apply, but they don't see anyone offering a new set of rules that make sense. Society is in a state of flux, and people are searching for new norms and guidelines to navigate this modern era. The challenge lies in finding a balance between embracing innovation and preserving the values that provide a sense of identity and community.
America's angry heart, from Trump to Bernie, the disillusionment unites. Look no further than America. We're a country divided, angry, and deeply disillusioned with our political system. On one side, you have Trump and his supporters, who feel like they've been ignored and left behind by the elites. On the other side, you have Bernie Sanders and his supporters, who believe the system is rigged against the working class. These may seem like polar opposites, but they're both symptoms of the same underlying disease, a deep-seated distrust of institutions and a belief that the system is no longer working for ordinary people.
Brexit and beyond, when anti-establishment goes global. And it's not just America. This anti-establishment wave is crashing over the entire world. Look at Brexit. People in the UK voted to leave the European Union, a decision driven in part by a rejection of the perceived elitism and bureaucracy of Brussels. From the streets of Paris to the favelas of Rio, people are rising up and demanding change. They're fed up with corruption, inequality, and a lack of opportunity. They want a system that works for them, not against them.
What happens next? The future of our angry world. So where do we go from here? That's the million-dollar question, folks. The rise of anti-establishment politics is a complex and unpredictable phenomenon. It has the potential to bring about real change, both good and bad. It could lead to a more democratic and equitable world, or it could pave the way for authoritarianism and chaos. One thing is for sure, the old order is crumbling and something new is taking its place. Buckle up, folks. It's going to be a bumpy ride.